Well, I'm not going to say too much because the purpose here today is to hear from some great candidates and some distinguished guests. But, it's nice coming out of the last year and a half to kind of be here in person. I think we should recognize it in a safe way. But look, we have a lot of people who are putting their name on the ballots, and that takes a lot of courage and guts, and they haven't had the same kind of opportunities they've had in the past. My fear is, regardless if we have multiple Democrats in a race, that people haven't been informed or had the opportunity to hear from these great folks, and they might, mark the vote for somebody because they didn't get the information they needed. So this is just another opportunity. Couple things, housekeeping, if you could please turn your phones off. We are taping. Part of the beauty of this is each campaign will get an in-kind gift from the Hamilton studio of cutting their piece and their portion of video, which I think is value added that they can share with their supporters. We'll also be cutting this into one continuous type of event so people who aren't in the audience today will be able to see it. So I think there's a lot of value. Another thing too, you all are hearing from these candidates. If they make a little bit of a mistake or whatever, we've all felt it up here, they are free to go back and deliver a line again because we'll be cutting a video for them. So with grace, please understand that. This is not a debate. This is a love fest about how we're all coming together to make sure the Democratic message gets up so we can win elections. So with that, I'm State Representative Marcus Frichelli. Local elections matter. There's so much at stake as we work to elect people who will lead with decency, fairness, justice, and love. We're continuing to come together to encourage a shared vision of support for people that will champion the opportunity for all to thrive, regardless of the zip code they live in or were born in. But one of the most exciting things here, before we hear from the candidates, we want to kick things off right by hearing from one of the most effective Democrats, not just in Spokane, not in the state, but in the nation. Senator Cantwell is a fierce advocate for Spokane and Eastern Washington priorities. She led the effort to make permanent and fully fund the Land and Water Conservation Fund, which is so beneficial to our outdoor economy. She fights for our Washington tribes, including passing legislation addressing the crisis of missing and murdered Indigenous women, and getting long overdue compensation for the Spokane tribe for the loss of their lands. And whether it's cross-laminated timber, or Spokane's aerospace cluster, or fighting for affordable housing, Senator Cantwell knows what we know, that Spokane has all the ingredients for economic growth, and she is always looking for ways to bring jobs to the area and boost our economy. Now, she has also taken the job as the ranking member of the powerful Senate Commerce Committee. It is my pleasure to welcome my good friend, my mentor, my former boss, Senator Maria Cantwell.
Well, thank you, Marcus. And you left out the person that I also tied in Bloomsday in whatever year that was, 2010. Yes. Marcus let me tie him. That's how that went. Good afternoon, everyone. It's so great to be here and so wonderful to be out of the COVID environment and into being back together. Today, we honored the life of a really great Democrat, Sally Jackson. And we all now understand that just being a Democrat is not enough, and just getting the vote out isn't enough, but going out to the 4th legislative district and consistently getting the vote out until we get Tim Hattenberg elected to the Spokane City Council, that's what being a Democrat is all about. So we're going to miss Sally, but we're going to have to replicate her. And that's what today is about, replicating her in these city council races in Spokane. I want to thank Marcus because he's led on the important issue of affordable health care in the Washington legislature. Marcus knows where we are today is not enough, that we've increased access to health care through the Affordable Care Act. We've expanded our healthcare clinics, but Marcus is not going to be happy until we drive down the cost of healthcare and make it affordable for everyone in the 3rd Legislative District and in Eastern Washington. So thank you, Marcus. And I'm glad to be here with Andy Billick and Tim Ormsby and obviously Councilwoman Wilkerson, who I'm going to introduce, and our state treasurer who is here, Mike Pella Chadi, and also with Tina Podolinsky, who is also tirelessly working to get the vote out. So why are we here? We're here to talk about these important issues, and if you remember what people have said, all politics are local. Trust me, I'm working at the national level on important infrastructure issues, but guess what they're really about? Local issues. Whether it's infrastructure and building our roads and highways correctly, or building for the next generation of work to come to Spokane, it's these candidates on the city council that are going to make the difference. If we're talking about access to broadband, and we're going to come up with some good ideas, but if we're talking about access to broadband and making sure it gets deployed throughout of all Spokane, and that we have affordable options for our schools and for our individual families, it's going to be these candidates. And if we're talking about some of the other important issues that we know, like making the transition to a cleaner energy economy. We know right here that the city of Spokane is a smart city, doing great things to diversify, and as Marcus said, has one of the largest cross-laminated timber facilities in all the United States. What are we trying to do here in Spokane? We're trying to show we know something about cheap, affordable electricity and building for the future. And I'm hoping that the University District continues to play big benefits there and show how we diversify our economy for the future. But we need good partners like these individuals. Now, why am I here? Why am I asking everybody just to help and listen to these candidates and then motivate your friends and neighbors to get out and vote? Many of you know I always tell the story about how my dad made me knock on a neighbor's door when I was a child, and I came home crying because they said they weren't going to vote. And my dad said, I know it's upsetting, but why are you crying? And I said, well, aren't they going to be arrested? Because I literally thought that voting was so serious. If you didn't vote, I literally, as a child, thought you were going to be arrested. But now something else is more important. Something more important is at stake. We are having a debate about our democracy, about the future of our country, about whether we're going to have voting rights and pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. We're debating about where we are going to go as a nation and saying that we are an immigrant nation and we have to have immigration reform and treat immigrants with the same immigrant rights that they had in past Democratic administrations. And we need to make sure that we have civil rights and civil liberties in the United States of America upheld. This is not an abdication of our Constitution that some of my colleagues will say every day, oh, those are local issues, we don't have to do anything about them, those aren't issues we care about. They are absolutely issues we care about and must fight for. And I'm asking all of these candidates to help us fight for this by getting people out to vote. Those ballots are in the mail. Let's make those phone calls. Let's deliver those ballots. Let's take an account and show people that we're going to have the largest turnout that a City of Spokane council race or the races for the school board have ever had. Why? Because we are watching. We're watching what's happening nationally. We're watching what's happening locally. We're watching about how we're going to prepare for the future, and we're not going to be held back. We are going to march forward on great principles that have made our country so great. So thank you. Thank you for paying attention. Thank you for helping. Thank you for helping remind our friends and neighbors. So now it's my great honor to introduce a councilwoman that needs no introduction, really, but I will just say that having her on the city council has added diversity, it's added experience, it's added a small business person who knows and understands what it takes to build a business and move forward. Help me by welcoming Councilwoman Wilkerson to the stage.
Thank you. you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So how did I get the short stick? Did I have to follow Maria? That's what I want to know. Who was doing the lineup? I had so much on my mind, and just hearing Marcus and Maria speak just kind of, but first of all, could you give a hand to all the people behind me, the wind underneath my wings? You know, I kind of had a little speech prepared, but you know, I really do best when I kind of talk from my heart. So, I am Betsy Wilkerson, council member, running to retain my seat on Spokane City Council District 2. That is my goal. I'm a single parent, woman of color, and a small business owner. I've lived in Spokane over 57 years, and I have to tell you, back in 1963, my mom brought herself and her 4 kids here on the train from West Point, Mississippi. And they came to Spokane, my mom and us, looking for a better life. Did she find it? She did, but was it easy? No, it was not easy. But I have raised my kids here, and now I'm raising the joy of my life, my triplet grandchildren here. Spokane is home. So I am truly vested in this community. I bring a long history, don't add that to age, just a long history of community service and lived experience. I believe that is what was needed on City Council when I was appointed, and I believe it's still what's needed today. I have served as the first woman of color as president of the Women Helping Women Fund. I have served as the first woman of color on the St. Luke's Community Advisory Council. I have served as the first woman of color for the Junior League of Spokane. Now, tell me that's kind of not a little disconnect going on there. I know, right? But currently, I serve on the Innovia Board Foundation, and I have chaired its grants for over 3 years. Currently, I'm very proud to say I am the board chair of the Carl Maxey Center in Spokane. I'll give it up myself for the Carl Maxey Center. Through my years of volunteer service, I finally started realizing it's policy that makes change, long-term change. We have all shown up and done what we used to call our done-in-a-day project, and we do it and we feel good and we go home. But after a while, you realize it's gonna take more. It's gonna take policy change, and that's what inspired me to serve and step on council. It's gonna take policies that impact our homeless and our unhoused. It's gonna take policy change to how we care for our mentally ill, and not just our citizens, how we care for our mentally ill on our public safety, because they see trauma every day too. It is going to take policy change in how we stand up the conversation, how we reimagine public safety. That's a conversation, but it's going to take policy to help frame that discussion. And what's most important to me, it is policies that is going to impact opportunities for our young people. What does that look like for Spokane? We've all heard the challenge our young people have left. Well, I don't want that. I want my grandchildren to grow up here, educated here, have opportunities here. I don't want them to live with me, but I do want them to stay in the area. As we go forward, why am I running? People keep asking me all the time, like, Betsy, you must be crazy. Why are you still running to stay on city council? Well, I'll tell you why I'm running. I'm running for the same reason I stepped up and put my name in for the open seat. I'm running to represent underserved populations. I'm running to be a voice for the voiceless. I am running to bring about change. I'm running to work on collaboration and bringing people together. I'm running because Spokane, to me, is really on the cusp of greatness. We're just at this intersection, and we got a choice. And it's going to take leaders to make that choice as to which way does our city go. I'm running because I want to make sure there is change, that there is respect for the people in this city. There is dignity for the people in this city. That's why I'm running. You know, people talk a lot about power, and I understand power, but really at the end of the day, it is all about the people, whether it's infrastructure, because people got to get over the bridge, you know, and people got to live in the house. So it really always comes back to people. And I will tell you, when folks are talking to me at City Hall, and others have heard me say this, if you're not talking about what's in it for the people, I probably don't have a conversation for you, because that's what's most important to me. Spokane, I want to serve and to continue the work I have started. I believe I was put in this spot for such a time as this, and that I have contributed to where Spokane is today and where Spokane can go tomorrow and into the future. I solicit your support, I solicit your vote. In Spokane, we can. Spokane, we can. One more time, Betsy. Spokane, we can make a better city. Thank you.
Betsy Wilkerson. There's no Alicia Keys coming for me, but this councilwoman's on fire, right? On fire. I want to take just a quick second to recognize, we heard from Senator Cantwell, but we have Senator Billig here today. We're going to hear from him later. Yay, Senator Billig. There we are. Sorry. Representative Ormsby. I saw him. Somewhere around. Hey, Tim. Good to see Representative Ormsby. There's a lot of other good folks who have really worked hard. I see former Representative Denny Delwo in the audience talking about health care. The man who brought basic health to Washington to help our most needy. And there's a lot of other folks. I'm sure I'm missing some people. I apologize. Okay. On to some candidates, right? We want to hear from the candidates, so I'll be quiet here. And so our city council is fighting hard to make a difference, from affordable housing to public safety, from civil rights to health. And with your help, they're keeping the Spokane City Council blue, and they're going to keep it blue. Our progressive majority, let's be clear here today, is in jeopardy if we don't turn out the vote and come together. So let's hear from some great candidates. And let's hit the ground for them. So Nagmana Shirazi is running to amplify voices of District 1. She'll fight for working families like hers, from housing to struggling to put food on the table to access to health care and vaccine. She promises to be a voice for all those who are often forgotten and left behind. So without further ado, Nagmana.
Thank you for that, Marcus, and thank you everybody for being here. It's really nice to see all the friendly faces, friends that I've missed over the past year and a half because of COVID that we've been stuck indoors. Anyway, my name is Nagmana Shirazi, and I am running for Spokane City Council, District 1, Position 2. I am a unique candidate for Spokane City Council, a single mother, scientist, community leader, and educator, with a proven track record for working and amplifying the voices of those marginalized and often overlooked. I have found good, workable solutions for issues in our communities. I am a renter, and if elected, I would be the only renter on Spokane City Council. I am also an immigrant, and would be the first immigrant of South Asian descent ever to be elected to Spokane City Council, so I hope to make that history. This election cycle, I already made history by unionizing my campaign, being the first ever east of the Cascades to do so. I did this because I value labor, I value workers, and I value my campaign staff. I wanted to put money where my mouth is. As a community leader, I'm involved in various boards and committees working to serve historically marginalized members of the community like immigrants and refugees, asylees, and other communities and communities of color. One of my major achievements was when I co-chaired No Discrimination Spokane, where I helped bring together this coalition of 28 different organizations to defeat a racist ballot measure known as Proposition 1 in 2015, which a judge ruled as unconstitutional due to our efforts. I am a coalition builder, and I want to work to bring the Spokane City Council together to address the pressing needs of our city, and especially for District 1. Since the past 2 years, I have worked with Greater Spokane Progress, Muslims for Community Action and Support, Spokane Human Rights Task Force, Asian Pacific Islander Coalition, Spokane Coalition of Color, and the NAACP to develop a workable model for the city to create a fully funded Office of Civil Rights, where folks in the lower income bracket can come for resources such as lower interest loans for small businesses, help in finding the right mortgage for maybe immigrants and refugees who may be buying their first ever home, language and translation assistance with forms available in multiple languages, and most importantly, have the Office of the Ombudsman housed there so it is independent and can provide the proper oversight needed to keep our law enforcement agencies accountable and transparent. I am a Democrat, and I am progressive. I have held several leadership roles in the Democratic Party, including the 5th Congressional, the 5th Congressional District Representative, State Committee Woman, and the grassroots organizing position as a precinct committee officer in the 6th LD. 2021 District 1 will be a very close race. We need someone who can bring people together and has built name recognitions and connections within the community like myself. I will be a voice for equal opportunity, ensuring equity in the post-COVID recovery efforts in our city. I have volunteered at several vaccination clinics as a translator. I think we vaccinated over 2,500 people, ensuring more access to vaccines. 2020 saw 30% small businesses go under just in District 1 alone. I am advocating for COVID relief to small businesses and to especially renters and homeowners who may be behind on the mortgage and rental and utility payments. This is really important for us, especially for the northeast of Spokane, as we have been really hard under attack during all this time, getting our payments made on time. I will fight to control poverty and aid our unhoused neighbors. It breaks my heart to see folks out on the street, especially with extreme weather conditions and smoky air. 20 lives were lost in this last heat wave. This is unacceptable. We need to do better. We also need to fight against the sweeps of encampments and support a housing-first model for shelters. I will work to bring infrastructure to District 1 and to the city of Spokane. I will work to protect and improve our streets, sidewalks, and protect our shared community treasures like parks and waterways. I have offered solutions to help mitigate the housing crisis, and we must work on finding the right solution right now. We don't have any more time left. I work in higher education at Gonzaga in the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and I'm committed to educating our youth and providing them with the best possible resources so they can join our workforce with the skills, background, and education that they need. For us to come out of COVID's impact to our city, we must invest in workforce development, and that is what I'm working on, to make sure we have the best education and job opportunities available to our students and our children. Spokane is my home. I have chosen to make this my home and raise my son here. I care about our city and its residents and its citizens. I care about District 1. We need to elect someone who will fight for everyone. I promise, if I am your next elected councilwoman, I will fight for you, whether we agree on everything or not. I will always come to you with an open ear and an open heart. My website is peoplefornagmana.com, and you can follow my Facebook page to stay updated. If you can't afford to, please donate and volunteer to my campaign. If you have friends and family who live in District 1, please ask them to vote for me. Thank you for your support, and thank you very much, Toad Hall. And Marcus, they want to know when you're coming back to door knock in our district. They miss you at the doors. Thank you.
Luke Jasmine has big plans for serving even more people in our community, which includes supporting music and financial literacy programs for the BIPOC community in Spokane and supporting ways to provide affordable childcare to all families. He would also like to take action to improve housing, public safety, and jobs and economic development. Let's welcome Luke Jasmine to the stage. Luke!
All right. So people are asking who was taller, whether it was me or you. All right, so I want to start off by saying one great thing about campaigning is I've been able to develop relationships with all of the progressive candidates in this race, so much so that we've been messaging each other about what we were going to wear today. What do you think? How do you think they look? So my name is Luke Jasmine III. I'm a first-generation Haitian American. I'm a father of 2 amazing daughters, a business owner, child care provider, advocate, and I absolutely love my community. Everything that I do has a community focus. And I also like to work collaboratively to find solutions. Just look at how we were able to collectively respond to this COVID crisis. Not only did my team and I figure out ways to work with organizations to get people out to get vaccinations, but we also worked with local organizations, the city of Spokane, and the county to bring more than $4 million of direct grants to child care providers and tuition assistance to families, particularly essential workers. We didn't stop there. We worked with the likes of Lisa Brown and the Department of Commerce to ensure that there were grants available for facilities. Those same facilities funds help open Glow Early Learning that supports the Teen Parent High School downtown Lumen High School. With our grassroots child care advocacy organization that I founded, we not only helped write but also passed the largest investment in Washington State early learning history, called the Fair Starts for Kids Act. Thank you, Senator Billig. This is the type of work ethic and results and collaboration that you can expect from me on Spokane City Council. In addition to the child care wins, I also serve on the Habitat for Humanity board, our city's housing subcommittee, and our police ombudsman as a commissioner. Northeast Spokane needs a champion. They need results. With your support, I plan to get those results around housing, infrastructure, and most importantly, making sure the citizens in Spokane have access to affordable childcare. Like our senator was saying, we need to get people out, though. We need to get people out to vote. Northeast Spokane District 1 has historically had the lowest voter turnout in the city. Not because the residents don't care. On the contrary, the residents here are hardworking people who love their neighborhoods. Many of us are just trying to hang on for another day. They need to know whoever is elected is going to fight for them. I wholeheartedly believe that my resume and actions clearly demonstrate that I will. But I'm also a team player. What do I mean by that? What I mean is, regardless of the primary results, I will do everything in my power to make sure that a progressive is named in all races in November.
Hey, yes.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for supporting me, and let's move forward together.
All right. Luke bringing that unity message that's so important post-primary. Thank you, Luke, for that. Hey, before we move on, we're showing up as a hot spot, not because of the fires. That's something we need to work on, definitely. That is, we do not like it. I coach soccer this fire season, climate change. But we're showing up across the state. Candidates want to come, and elected officials want to come and chat with us and be engaged. And that's a commitment of kind of this next wave of candidates that we've seen. So I'm really pleased, before we move on to other candidates, I want to introduce a champion for government transparency, a financial fraud prosecutor, a former colleague in the legislature, our state treasurer, Mike Pelliciotti.
All right. Thank you, Marcus. Do we have a great group of candidates here in Spokane or what? Can we give a round of applause? I just want to pause just for a moment. Some people say the last United States Senator from Spokane was Clarence Dill many years ago. I think the truth is no one's representing Spokane better in the U.S. Senate than Maria Cantwell. Can we give her a round of applause? She's about as local of a senator as you can have in D.C. Look, we have Tina Podladowski here, the head of the party, really giving a clear indication that Spokane is on the move. I think we all see that. We have just amazing, amazing candidates here in Spokane, and we're really we've been hearing this, on the verge of really moving things forward here as a city. And I just wanted to say, as one of your statewide elected officials, that me, other colleagues, are going to be showing up here to do whatever we can to support candidates in getting elected here in Spokane in November. And I just wanted to just take this moment to thank all of you for what you're going to be doing for these great group of candidates. So with that, I guess I want to turn this over, I think, we have another great senator here from Spokane, Andy Billig. Senator Billig, let's give him, let's see, where's Senator Billig? There he is. I'll turn it over to Shelley first because I think he wants to make sure his senator is introduced. So thanks so much, Marcus.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna do it, but we want to keep it kind of flowing here. The one thing I did want to do is, because of the nature of COVID and just lack of meetings, we do have some other great candidates, and I appreciate them showing up. So I just wanted to recognize Gloria Choa-Bruck. There's also some great candidates out there. My old classmate. Remember, every position matters. My friend Nathan Jeffries, who's running for water commissioner. There's a lot of great things going on. So great. With that, they do call us. I think we took it as a sign of pride. There was a pretty negative letter to the editor calling Andy, Tim, and I the Blue Man Group, but we kind of wear it with pride. So I want to bring up to take the next part of this event, Andy Billig, our state Senate Majority Leader, coming straight out of Spokane, the 3rd District.
All right, thank you, Marcus. He had a call to the bullpen. I'm glad I was warmed up and ready to come out. Well, what an honor to be here, to see everybody, to see friends, and to see this amazing group of candidates. And it just makes me think, as I often do, it's a great day to be a Democrat. All right, well, let's get on with meeting our next candidate. So Lucretia Lou Hill loves Spokane. She enjoys working with diverse perspectives and experiences to find solutions for our community. She will work tirelessly to ensure our streets and parks are safe for our kids, our neighbors get help that they need, and our local businesses and working families recover from the pandemic. Now, let's hear from Lou Hill.
There's some tall men before me. I'm a little shorter. Thank you. I'd like to say hello and thank you all for coming. I'm very new to politics, but I am not new to this community. Those of you who don't know me, my name is Lucretia Hill, or Lou, and I'm here running to be your city councilwoman in the Northwest neighborhood of Spokane City Council District 3. I'm a mother. I have 2 beautiful sons and a wife and a small business owner. 4 generations of my family have called Spokane home. And the community has raised me and provided me with a beautiful life. And this beautiful life did not come without facing adversity. I was born into poverty, surrounded by abuse and violence. And my earliest memories are witnessing the abuse of my mom and trying to keep my siblings safe. I found an escape and hope in books and school. By 4th grade, I had read every single book in my school library. Miss Kirkland, my librarian, who actually became my best friend, went above and beyond to support my curiosity by bringing the public library to me. The example Miss Kirkland set shaped my life and my career, as I wanted to grow up to be an advocate for young people, just like she was to me. I became a mother to my first son when I was just 16 years old, and I was determined not to be a statistic. I got my GED, and I worked my way through community college and Eastern Washington University, waiting tables at Cyrus O'Leary's, back when they got to wear costumes, right here in downtown Spokane. Achieving these goals was my first experience in community organizing. My family and my friends and this city stepped in to help me. Spokane had affordable housing, childcare, housing vouchers, and public transportation, all tools that I used to realize my full potential and my dreams. When I graduated from EWU, I got an opportunity to focus full-time on helping young people address adversity in their own lives. I started my career with Boys and Girls Clubs in one of the toughest neighborhoods in Las Vegas, Nevada. My club's demographics were 75% Latino and Hispanic, and the rest was African American. It is there where I saw firsthand the damage that our immigration system creates. I spent the next 7 years working at Boys and Girls Clubs in Las Vegas, rural Oregon, and right back home to Spokane. I raised millions of dollars. I developed innovative programs that helped young people and their families. Coming home to serve the Boys and Girls Club here was the highlight of my club career. I oversaw 3 clubs, and I instituted staff trainings and leadership development programs. I know firsthand what it takes to help our kids and our neighbors who are struggling the most. It takes bringing together everyone, from railroad owners, mink farmers, college students, businesses, and school districts to get the work done to improve our communities. I was recruited to join the team at Empire Health Foundation and Better Health Together to bring innovative solutions to Spokane and address houselessness and build up low-barrier supportive housing, a model that's based on national best practices. In 2015, I became a small business owner and an entrepreneur. With my partners, we built up a $3 million a year cannabis business. As the VP of operations, I was given the task of bringing people together from various backgrounds and learning styles to develop standard operating procedures in a heavily regulated environment, all while getting my MBA. So I know how to navigate bureaucracy and still get things done. Currently, I'm working as I own my own business consulting firm, and I'm also a yoga teacher to bring health and wellness, not just to our community, but to our business community. I'm running for office because I love Spokane, and I love my neighbors, and I see our adversity, and I see our potential. I want to leverage my skills as a servant leader to ensure that Spokane is a city where a teen mom just like me realizes her full potential. As your representative on City Council, I will work tirelessly to make sure our local businesses and working families recover from the pandemic. Our streets and parks are safe for our kids and our neighbors. I will support our neighbors who are struggling the most to get the help they need to thrive. That we will be addressing the realities of growth, public health, safety, and the economy through a foundation of diversity, equity, and inclusion. When I was a young work-study student working at Gary Middle School, the same one I attended, I visited a friend in a mobile home park in Hilliard. When I was leaving, this young man who attended Gary ran up to me and he said, "Whoa, Miss Hill, you come to Dogtown?" And I replied, "Yeah, this is where I grew up. My best friend's mom lives right in that trailer over there." This story has stayed with me over the years because it reminds me of how important representation is. I knew that that young man saw the potential in himself when he looked at me. Now, I want you to imagine what it means for all our kids struggling to see someone who grew up facing adversity just like them in the same neighborhoods elected to run our city. This is the type of transformative change we can create together. But I can't do it alone. I need all of you. So thank you so much for your time today. And I'd also like to thank the fellow candidates. It really has been a pleasure to get to know all of you. And I really think that we get to set a standard for how we get to treat each other and really be pillars and leaders and how we can give each other grace and understanding and move forward together. So thank you.
All right, nice job. Well, we're going to get to our next candidate in just a minute, but one other, the elected officials got introduced earlier, and I think one person didn't get mentioned. Nikki Lockwood, our school board director, is here. What's that? Also here, my predecessor in the state Senate and former Senate Majority Leader, now the director of the Department of Commerce, Lisa Brown, is here. And then one other note, this year is a really big year for our community because we're going to go from 3 county commissioners that are elected by the whole county to 5 county commissioners that are elected by district. This means better representation for every person in Spokane County. And it was Marcus Riccelli, Representative Riccelli was the prime sponsor of that bipartisan effort. And the process is underway to redraw those boundaries. And there are 2 Democratic appointed redistricting commissioners, and there are 2 Republican commissioners, and we have the 2. Oh, thank you, Bailey. I have to make it a side note. This is so weird because I saw Bailey when I walked in. Bailey was our intern for our office this year, but this is the first time I've ever seen her in person. Isn't that weird? That's such a weird, and the first thing she does is get a spider off of me. So the 2 Democratic county redistricting commissioners are with us today, and I wanted to introduce them so you know who they are. Brian McClatchy and Natasha Hill. I encourage you to go to the county redistricting portal website. It's pretty easy to find if you search online and engage in that process. Okay, let's keep going here. Well, our next candidate is Zach Zapone, running for City Council in District 3 as well. Zach Zapone believes to fulfill our vision, we must continue to invest in attainable housing, family businesses, and comprehensive healthcare resources, and to set Spokane up for economic prosperity, prepare our children for the jobs of the future, and build infrastructure that can meet the demands of the 21st century. Now here's Zach Zapone.
So I'm a teacher, and an English teacher on top of that, but I am really bad at following along and reading aloud. So I'm just going to have notes the old-fashioned way. First, I want to thank all the other great candidates here, especially if you look at the west side. When they think of Spokane, I don't think they think of us as the candidates here. So I just want to take a moment to appreciate our great diversity here. I also want to take a moment to appreciate that in the 3rd district, no matter what, we have an opportunity to elect the first openly LGBT candidate in the Northwest in the city of Spokane. So we have lots of history here. My name's Zach Zapone. I'm a teacher and a public health worker, and I'm running because everybody deserves a fair shot. To me, that means that we need to make sure that we're prioritizing our public health and safety, especially our mental health. We need real action on housing and homelessness, and we need to build the infrastructure to support our local economy. I have deep connections and ties to our community. I grew up right here in the 3rd district, graduated from North Central High School, just like my grandpa. Go NC. At NC, I saw a lot of diversity and a lot of people in need in our community. But when I went to college in Washington, D.C. at Georgetown, I realized that the system was rigged against us. I was one of 3 students from Eastern Washington at Georgetown, while my roommate was one of 22 boys from an all-boys private school in New Jersey. I came home to work at McDonald's, and my roommate used his dad's connections to go work on Wall Street. The system doesn't work for everybody. So I decided to become a teacher and move back to Eastern Washington to fight for that opportunity in our classrooms and our students. I created a bunch of after-school programs, changed the curriculum, and made progress. But no matter what, I felt like I was lying to my students. I would tell them, if you just worked hard, you could get ahead. But the reality was that the system was still rigged. They didn't have a fair shot. They would get hit crossing the street on their way to school by cars. They didn't have safe housing at home or affordable housing options. They lacked access to healthcare and job training programs. So I decided to leave the classroom and get my master's degree in public policy from Princeton. I studied urban planning and got the skills and experiences to bring back to our community, to make our community a better place for everybody. At stake in this election are our values. When it comes to those issues that I mentioned already, prioritizing our public health and safety, we need to make sure that we're taking care of the most vulnerable in our community and prioritizing mental health and treating it as a mental health, as a public health issue. I currently work at a healthcare nonprofit, expanding telehealth access to students in elementary schools, connecting them to their doctors in our community. That's the kind of forward thinking we need as a community. When it comes to housing and homelessness, I see and know too often people my age who live with their parents that don't have access to affordable housing. I myself was living with my parents not too long ago while looking for a job. We need to make sure that we have affordable housing for everybody in our community. That means we need to have an urban planning perspective on council and bring those ideas to our council. We need to look at denser zoning. We need to look at breaking up, making our communities more walkable and livable and healthier. We need to look at protections for tenants and the rights to make sure that they aren't kicked out of their houses. Just last week, I met a woman who found out that her family of 6 can't continue to leave. Their landlord was selling their house because they can make a great profit, and she doesn't know where she can go live. I met a senior whose rent increased by 20% in the last year, and they're on a fixed income, and they don't know what they're going to do. These are the issues at stake in our election. We all know that the realtors and the special interests are really getting involved in this election. They've invested over $100,000 to defeat all of us here, and that's not right. We need to step up and come together as a community, as Democrats, to make sure that our values are represented, that we protect the supermajority on city council. That means that just this last month, the supermajority was able to make sure that our homeless community and vulnerable community had access to cooling centers during a heat wave. Yeah. We have a mayor who would have vetoed that if it weren't for our supermajority on council. So we need to be ready on the ground, getting involved, stepping up. We just got done with a really exhausting election last year, and we elected Joe Biden, but we got to keep going. Right here, these issues matter locally, and we need to get out on the ground, knocking on doors, telling our neighbors, getting them to turn in their ballots. Right? This is a primary in the off season. We're expecting low turnout. So go home, tell 3 people to turn in your ballots, get out the vote, elect some great progressive candidates. Thank you very much. Have a great day. I'm strong.
All right, nice job. All right, we're going to move on to the school board. And I'll tell you what, if you've been following along, the school board has made more big decisions, I think, in the last year or so than I can ever remember. So nice job, Nikki. And it shows how important this board is. And so I'm really glad that we have a chance to hear from some of the candidates for school board. So first is going to be candidate for position number 4, Riley Smith. Riley believes that District 81 School Board needs to make our school district more equitable by expanding mental health resources. He believes in building our local workforce with alternate career pathways like apprenticeships and trade schools. He's running to represent everyone in our community. He believes we deserve directors who understand and value their voice when making decisions about our children's education. And now let's hear from Riley Smith.
Thank you, Senator Billig, and thank you everyone for being here. I'll jump on the train. A lot of great candidates here. And when it comes down to it, we need to make sure that 5 of us are elected at the end of the day. So my name is Riley Smith. I'm running for Spokane Public Schools Board of Directors, position 4. Spokane is home for me. I spent 13 years in Spokane Public School District, from kindergarten all the way through my senior year of high school. In fact, to show you how deep my roots go, I'm getting married here in 2 weeks from yesterday, and one of my former teachers is officiating my wedding. Let's just say the first week of August is going to be a little bit crazy. I think I'm running because it's time for me to give back to a community that has invested so much in me. I'm running because I envision a school district that provides opportunity for all of our students. To me, that begins with addressing mental health challenges plaguing our students and their ability to learn. Just recently, a survey came out that showed 40% of Spokane's youth report that they're experiencing depression. How can we expect our youth and our students to show up to school every day, perform and learn, and then go home and continue that growth when they are experiencing mental health challenges that aren't being addressed? It's just not fair to expect that of our students. Also, to me, giving everyone equal opportunity begins with creating alternate career pathways for our students while they're in school so that they can be successful after school. Trade schools, apprenticeship programs provide immense value to a lot of our students. I think we can all agree here that grades are not the sole determinant of a child's ability in our community. We need to get our wood shops back open, our metal shops, and our auto shops. Recently, I went to the Zone in Northeast Spokane, and they told me they did a survey of Shaw Middle School, one of our most high-poverty middle schools in the city. And they asked all the students, what do you want to see more of in your day-to-day schoolwork? And they told them their top 2 answers were auto mechanics and art. I feel like we're not addressing those needs as a school board right now, and we need to be creating pathways for these students to stay successful and become contributing members of our community and their families, building generational wealth for years to come. Now, I want to be clear about the consequences of this election. Right now, there are 2 candidates in our race that do not support opportunity for all students. One believes that we should be prioritizing funding for charter schools over our public school system. Another believes marriage is reserved for only a man and a woman and that we should be teaching that in our schools. They also believe that parents who send their kids to private schools shouldn't be paying their fair share in taxes for our public school system. And they also believe we shouldn't be providing any social services for our students. This starts with healthcare and meals. I believe we should be expanding those opportunities for our students. And I bring this up, thank you. And I bring this up for one reason and one reason only. It's very easy to think about this race as just a school board race or a low turnout, low information election in an off year. I don't even have a city council member on my ballot in the 2nd district, right? We need to show up. There are real life consequences about this election. As voters, if we approach this election with that mindset, we would be doing a huge disservice to our community. And as like-minded individuals, we need to remember that we value all the things that our opponents don't. We value fair public funding for public schools. We value protections for LGBTQ youth. And we value social services, especially for our most vulnerable students. And as like-minded individuals, we must organize around our shared values to make sure that they are represented on the school board and not that of far-right conservatives that don't represent us. So thank you for being here. You can learn more about me and my campaign at electRileySmith.com. If you feel compelled to donate, I would really appreciate your support. When it comes down to it, like I said at the beginning, I will work tirelessly to elect whether it's me or my counterpart that advances to the general election because, like I said, there's too much at stake, and I can already feel the unity amongst our candidates right now. So I feel like in the general election, it's time to show up.
All right, thank you, Riley. Nice job. Next, we're going to meet another candidate for position for candidate Rian Amatu. Rian is running to represent the perspective of those who don't have the time to keep up with the day-to-day of the school board. He will vote with these parents and their kids in mind. He would like to continue Spokane's upward trend towards equity, mental health care, and opportunity for all Spokane Public School students and teachers. So let's meet Rian Amatu.
Thank you, Senator Billig. And we do have a great slate of candidates. I'm very excited that I only have to run against one of them. But once whoever gets past the primary will have my full support, any of these candidates, because they're all awesome, and we've all gotten to know each other these past couple of months, and they're all great people, and I would be proud to have them serve me and my family in whatever position they're running for. All right, so you may be wondering why I'm wearing a mask. I am not able to receive the vaccine right now because of a medical condition. So I just want to thank each and every one of you that have been vaccinated for looking out for me and my family and other people like me. So thank you so much. Our education system is a determining factor in whether our children and our nation succeed in today's increasingly competitive global economy, as important as growing into a socially and mentally healthy adults. As a district, we need to continue supporting teachers, giving them the resources they need to provide the best possible environment for educating and emotionally nurturing our children. We have seen severe state and federal budget cuts undermine the ability of our local school districts to provide quality education for our children. This has resulted in overcrowded classrooms, overburdened and stressed teachers, and inadequate support services like special education, after-school care, and preschool programs. As healthcare costs continue to rise, the negative impact on the ability of educators to focus on teaching our children becomes increasingly unsustainable. I will fight to improve and expand funding for our children's future. Quality education is not a punchline. It is the backbone of our families, economy, and our state. Education is an investment and not a cost, which benefits quality of life, our economy, and most importantly, our children's future. I'm the father of a child that attends Spokane Public Schools. I'm a military veteran, and I'm a husband and a new homeowner. And since I've lived in Spokane, it's been important to me to continue my service to my country and my community. During my term as school director, I will work to maintain the board's focus on equity, following through on the Equity Policy Resolution of 2020 to ensure the adoption of culturally responsive curriculum, training, and policies. I will work to ensure access to technology through all lines of socioeconomic backgrounds, making sure that every student can access the technological tools and resources they need to be successful. My goals will also include the expansion of mental health services, and as an example of needed improvements, at the elementary school level, the ratio of counselors to students is 300 to 1. As a school board director, I will do everything in my power and work with those that also share that power to reduce that ratio and protect the mental health of students, educators, faculty, and staff at Spokane Public Schools. I'm under no illusion that these things will be easy. Nothing worthwhile ever is. But with your continued support past the election cycle, it doesn't have to be difficult. Please head over to electrianametu.org to donate or sign up or volunteer. And together we can make Spokane's public schools a nationwide blueprint of success, educating all students through a lens of equity. Thank you very much.
All right, what an amazing group of candidates, and are you ready to support these candidates? So, you know, I've been really impressed with them as candidates, but also with their commitment to making sure that we have progressives in all of these seats. And I really appreciate the unity. And while obviously they've got to make their case, and they should make their case of why they're the best person to advance to the general election, I appreciate that they've committed to supporting their progressive opponents when, if it's not them that makes it through to the general election. That is really important for us to maintain our progressive majority on city council. Now, I just wanted to make one comment. There was a mention about all the money that's coming in from special interests and from the realtors in particular for the conservative candidates. It's disturbing and it's concerning, but remember, why are they doing that? They're doing that to try to get votes. And who controls the votes? We do. And so we can counter that money with hard work and by talking to our friends and our family, our neighbors, and making sure that we ourselves get our ballots in. So if we all work hard on behalf of these candidates, then we don't have to worry nearly as much about that outside money coming in. So are you ready to work for these candidates? All right. Thank you all. I was glad to be a part of this. And to wrap it up, I'm going to hand it over to my seatmate, so the third member of the Blue Man Group, as we are now called, Representative Tim Ormsby. We haven't had enough hugs in the last year, so I appreciate that, Tim.
Talking about what we haven't had enough in the last year is a group of Democrats gathered together at Toad Hall. Yeah. How about this? This is, I have to say, I have not changed anything philosophically about how I approach anything, but I am inspired just by being around people, candidates with guts, and I would just say being a candidate is not for the faint of heart. You have to go through a lot internally. The spouses and the families, the significant others of candidates go through hell. I just applaud you. I applaud the work that you're doing. I applaud your approach to the work you're doing. And I thank you for inspiring me and reminding me in this setting why we do it, to get a little kick in the backside about paying attention. And as I was observing through the room, there are generations of Democrats in this room. We remembered Sally Jackson earlier. Yeah. Speaking of getting kicked in the backside, that was Sally's specialty, and I was a recipient of that more than once. But just as a reminder of why we're here, and I thank you for reminding me why we're here, and the shot in the arm and the spring in my step that I get about this. And this is really all thanks to Hamilton Studios and, of course, the organizing efforts of my seatmates. Hamilton Studios, Don and Lorna, who have poured from their soul. I attended Democrat functions in here before it was even named Toad Hall. And that's how long they have been giving to this community and to the values and principles that we stand for. I saw so many faces, and one of them that I saw that was a little shot from the past was Greg Sweeney, who was here and was a member. There's Greg. You know what these candidates remind me of? Something Greg and I talked about many, many years ago when he worked in the mayor's office. Greg reminded me of an old political adage that politics is the art of satisfying the irritated while not irritating the satisfied. And I think these candidates turned that on its head, and I think the satisfied have been satisfied just a little bit too long, and a little bit of irritation to provide a little bit more of an equitable treatment for the people that we're here to represent is just fine, and I see you doing that. I'm inspired by it. I'm inspired by the people that I've been able to serve with in the past. Lisa Denny Delwo is here. I saw Tom McGarry and Mary Wissink here earlier. The pouring out from this community. And while this officially ends the program for today, as much as Dawn has a little bit of a bark, we're going to quietly and orderly, we're going to leave here. Don't get on Lorna's bad side is my advice, because she is a fierce advocate for high principles, and she's also a good tender of this space and of everything that goes on here. I am thrilled, and I want us to end this by thanking Dawn and Lorna for once again opening their hearts and their facilities for this event, for inspiring us and getting us together and reminding us why we do what we do and how important it is. Thank you, candidates. Kick ass. We will get through this primary. We will get back together again, and we will proceed to take care of the job, to take care of the people that is our responsibility. Thank you all for coming and making this such a good event.